What season of life do you find yourself in? Are you in a waiting season, or maybe you're in a desert drought season, or maybe you're experiencing tests and trials, or on the flip side, maybe you are actually experiencing a harvest right now in your life where you're finally enjoying the fruits of your labor and you're reaping what you sow. Now, we are all created to be seasonal people. It actually says in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, that for everything there is a season. And it goes on later in verse 11 to say, for God makes everything beautiful in its time. So we can see in that scripture passage that we're created to be seasonal people. Now, I believe we understand in a natural sense how the seasons work and how they change based on the weather. You know, maybe you're in a spring season right now where you're experiencing refreshment and renewal. Or maybe you're in a season of summer where you are experiencing the joy and freedoms that are associated with that. Or even on the flip side, you're just working really hard, planting seeds that you know that you're going to be able to reap later on in your fall season. Or maybe you're actually in that fall season where you are experiencing that season where you're flourishing, you're reaping what you've sowed, and you're finally experiencing the fruits of your labor. Or maybe you're in winter where everything appears to be dead and dormant around you, and you're experiencing the cold, harsh weather of life. So we see that these are different seasons of life. But regardless of what season that you find yourself in, you can still flourish where God has you. That is why in today's video, I'm sharing with you 5 tips for how you can make the most of your season in life. Now, the first tip is to know what season of life that you're in. It's so important that you understand what season you're in so you can best flourish where God has you. And so with that, you're able to recognize the season you're in and avoid unnecessary disappointments and have realistic expectations for the type of weather, if you will, experience while you're there. Now, the second tip is to set goals that are in season. So just like you wouldn't plant seeds in the cold of winter expecting that they're going to grow, you wouldn't set goals that don't align with the season of life that you're in right now. Because in order to really grow and flourish where God has you, you have to have the right growing grounds and environment. And so it's important that you set goals that are going to allow you to grow in the season that God has you, instead of setting goals that are out of season and out of reach. So after you've set your goals that are in season, the third tip is to just focus on doing what you can do. There's no need to try to accelerate your growth by overwatering your soil or planting too many seeds. Instead of doing all the things, just focus on 1 to 3 things that are going to help you to grow in the season and going to yield the most results. So keep it super simple and focus on doing your best and trusting that God will do the rest, and He will grow you to where He wants you to be and grow you into the next season. Now, the fourth tip is to celebrate the small stuff. No, you may not be in full bloom yet, but notice the sprouts and the little blooms that are all around you. So instead of focusing on the full grown plant, just focus on the growth that is already occurring. You don't have to be perfect in order to celebrate the small things. That's why I love Zechariah 4:10, because it is in this verse that we can see that the Lord actually loves to see the work begin. So don't despise your small little sprout or your small beginnings, because this is where we can really start to see the growth take place. Now, after you have determined what season of life that you're in and you set goals that align with that season, and you are doing all that you can and you're making sure that you're celebrating the small stuff along the way, it's important that you just keep on growing. At the end of the day, it's less about the destination and more about the journey and who you grow into and become along the way. So you actually still have a lot of the things that you still have to go through and grow through. So it's so important that you see the beauty and purpose that comes with every season and know that it is the Lord that is going to promote you and grow you in due time. The truth is, we're going to experience different seasons in life. It is inevitable at this point. So instead of choosing to kick and fight our way through, we can really start to lean into where God has us and understand how we can flourish in that season, so we can become the women that God is calling us to be, so we can do the things that He is calling us to do. Now, if you want more on how you can make the most of the season God has you in, I have created the Savor Your Season Guide that is filled with tips and coaching questions to help you to really thrive and flourish in the season of life where God has you. And you can actually access that guide by clicking the link in the description to download the free guide. Well, that is all for today's video. Make sure that you give this video a thumbs up and that you subscribe to get notified of future videos, and I will see you in the next.